Hi, my name is Salem, and I graduated from Mobile in 2014. I'm here to talk a little bit about my application process for the universities in the United States. I first came up with this idea during the second year, so I had to learn a little about what was a college in the United States. And it was an interesting experience because, differently from Brazil, colleges differ a lot. So the research process was very important. During second year, I learned that there was not much I could do. Um, related to SATs or essay writing. So I decided to keep my grades very high and do this research. In the end of the year, in December, I took a trip to the United States and Canada to visit 12 different schools. And they opened my mind to a whole lot of possibilities I haven't thought before. Eventually, I bumped into my dream school, which is Columbia University, and that was it. I set on my heart in Columbia. The rest were plans B, C, D, and E, which were also great plans. But Columbia was the dream school. Since I had made that decision so early, I saw myself. I saw it was a good idea to engage in the early decision process. For those of you who don't know, you can apply in the regular decision process, through which you send all your documents and essays and the application itself in January or a little bit later. Or you can go for the early application, which can be an early decision or an early action. And you send everything on November, but you get the decision early. That was my case. I saw it was a good idea for me because I had a lot of time and I could organize myself very efficiently. So I decided that was my plan of action, the early decision for Colombia. After that, I took another trip to Chile in January, and then as soon as I came back, which was the January the 13th, I started studying. I studied like crazy for the TOEFL. That was 2 weeks. I took my first TOEFL in February the 8th, and I was satisfied with my score. When I did this, I realized it was a good idea to keep everything in boxes. I would first do the TOEFL, then the SAT, then the essays, then the common application, and then, well, wait. I remember my mother said that to build a very strong building, you have to have very strong blocks. So I had to work on those blocks separately. It had worked with the TOEFL, so we should work with everything else. After that, I started looking for an SAT teacher. I was looking for a private teacher, and I studied with CU at college. And while still maintaining my grades high, because I learned that they were very important, actually, almost as important as the essays and the SAT scores. I found this teacher in the beginning of March, and I studied with him for the SAT reasoning test throughout March and April, and took my first SNT in May. I had a decent score, but it wasn't still satisfied, and Colombia would not be satisfied with that. So I studied one more month, took the SAT in June, increased my score a little, but I wasn't still there. I wasn't there yet. After that, I decided to take June to increase my grades at school, or at least face the final tests, and make sure they wouldn't decrease. I also worked a lot in my scientific initiation project at Mobile, and started to take some classes and to look for information in the internet about writing the common application essay. Yeah, it was difficult. I decided to write such essay in July, and for me, it was the toughest part of the application because I just couldn't make my mind on about what to say. I was supposed to find something that described me fully and write about it, but I just couldn't find it. Um, it was very difficult. I wrote five drafts. So I spent 2 weeks in July doing that. I felt useless and unproductive. So I took the rest of the month off traveling, no pressure. Then when I came back in August, I started filling the common application. It took me like 3 afternoons. It's not a difficult formulary. I kept working with the essay and I made some progress. I think I was in my third draft by then, and I resumed my studies for the SAT. I studied for the SAT subject, and then in parallel, I did some practice tests on the SAT reasoning because I was going to take the test in October. I remember I started studying for the mathematics SAT subject, and it felt like hell on earth for me. I'm not a mathematic person, so it was very difficult, and I was very wise to give up and change it for physics, which was way easier for me and it warranted my success. I took the another reasoning in October, another reasoning test in October. I did well. I was satisfied. Columbia would be satisfied. And then I took the SAT subject tests in the end of November. But before that, oh, I'm sorry, I took it in the beginning of November. But I used it in the early decision and early actions. I decided to apply to 3 universities early. One was Columbia through the early decision, and then U Chicago and Michigan University through the early action process. So I had all the documents, all the essays, everything ready by November. After I sent those early applications and did my SAT subjects, life got very easy. I studied even more for school. I engaged on two drama presentations, and I could work in the other applications that I would send in January. And time passed really fast throughout November. In a blink of an eye, it was December, and I received my decision to Columbia, and I got in. So I didn't actually finish the other applications and only applied to Columbia, Michigan, and U Chicago. And I have to withdraw my applications to the other two. Now I was accepted, and I am packing. I am dealing with visa, and I'm very happy. Looking back, I think the most important things were first to organize everything in little boxes so that I wouldn't get crazy doing everything at the same time. Have a plan of action, which for me was to apply early to 3 universities and then regular to 10 more, and to choose universities wisely. My Columbia was my dream school, but I'm 100% sure that if I didn't get in, I would be very happy to go to the other 15 universities I applied. No, not 15, sorry, to the other 8. I think I made good decisions as far as universities were concerned. So even my last option was a good option. They were the fit, and it was very good. So those are the things I think you need to know before going abroad. If you want to ask anything, you can find me through the teachers and the coordination of Mobile, and I wish you the best of luck.